29th day of the month of August, the year 2018, the last week of this month. Good evening, these are the top stories.
Tonight, confusion on the corridors of justice.
I can only be bound by an order that is clear and specific. So this order, in my view, does not apply to this case.
Magistrate gives High Court up to Friday to rectify errors in ruling that would have suspended DCJ's prosecution to 9th of October.
And 12 killed in horrifying road crash.
Baadaye ndio wakitukelezwa kuna watoto yenyu pia wawili ambao wamefariki.
Distraught families begin identifying king killed in a head-on collision at Kimende.
Also tonight, 27 constituencies may be done away with. We'll tell you why.
Parliament slams the brakes on new fuel levy.
NTV Tonight with Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
Thank you for joining us. You're watching NTV Tonight. You can also watch us online on ntv.co.ke/live. And our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agundoa.
Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi today declined to stop Deputy Chief Justice Filomena Mwilu's case following a decision by High Court Judge Chacha Mwita to halt the trial.
The High Court has stopped the trial because the Deputy Chief Justice challenged her prosecution, raising constitutional issues.
Well, the High Court now has until Friday, 31st of August to rectify errors on the order that would have effected the stay, with the DCJ out on the same bond terms issued by the Chief Magistrate.
And as NTV's Mel Miendo reports, this could be just the beginning of a high legal drama in the Court of Justice.
When the defense team representing Lady Justice Filomena Mwilu arrived here at the Milimani Law Courts, the first thing they did is file a petition, and they were heard by the head of the Constitution and Human Rights Division, Judge Justice Chacha Mwita. He agreed to that petition and allowed for that suspension. However, when this order came before Judge Lawrence Mugambi, things took a different turn.
I cannot amend an order of the High Court. That would also be trespassing on other dangerous areas. I'm only guided and I can only be bound by an order that is clear and specific. So this order, in my view, does not apply to this case.
What Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi was alluding to is the case filed before him, where Deputy Chief Justice Filomena Mwilu was charged with abuse of office, theft, tax evasion and 10 other counts. The case filed by DCJ's petitioners contradicted the one before the magistrate court.
This order, it means if there is a case in the registry, number 292 of 2018, that is the one that has been. Because you see, there is a problem. The order must be specific.
It is the Secretary of Public Prosecution, Dorcas Odor, who noted with speed the anomaly, saying the order issued by Justice Mwita was for a different case.
You can also confirm that this case number 292 and 38 and date to court, it even talks about date to court, 28th of August 2018.
Justice Chacha Mwita had ruled that constitutional issues in the petition had to be addressed, the grounds being that it was a commercial matter and it was uncertain as to whether it can lead to the arrest of the DCJ. Mwita further directed the DCJ to serve both the petition and application to the DPP, the DCI and the Attorney General's office.
2018, when before the Chief Magistrate Court, Nairobi, until 9th of October 2018, and the court will give further directions on the hearing of the petition.
On the flip side, Chief Magistrate Mugambi gave the High Court until Friday 31st August 2018 to rectify the order, during which the accused would remain free on bond terms. Just a day ago, Mugambi ruled that the DCJ be freed on a personal bond of 5 million shillings. Defense lawyers, however, maintain that the DPP and the DCI are out to malign the office of the DCJ and that her constitutional rights have been violated. The DCJ is represented by over 30 lawyers, 13 of who are deemed to be at the top of the profession in the country. She's also represented by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, a lawyer by profession who made a rare appearance at the courts defending the DCJ. Melmiendo, NTV.
The arrest, detention and prosecution of Deputy Chief Justice Filomena Mwilu has sparked suspicions about the renewed war against graft.
Critics, among them the Orange Democratic Movement, have expressed reservations about the Director of Public Prosecution's actions and assurances by President Kenyatta that the blade of justice will cut in all directions appear not to have settled doubts.
NTV's Ken Mijungu now examines assertions by new doubters in the war on graft that it may just be the promised revisit that came after the ruling that overturned President Kenyatta's win in the August 2017 presidential election.
Despite the promise to build bridges and be president for all, when he took oath of office, the latest high-profile arrest that has hit at the heart of the judiciary seems to have aroused niggling suspicions.
Is that what you want your legacy to be?
Yes.
The fight against corruption?
Fight against corruption and transparency, and to ensure that the nation's resources are used in the best interest of the people of the Republic.
The president's utterances on legacy consolidation doing little to subdue suspicion among those who questioned the motive of the arrest. Those who refuse to believe that it was driven solely by the push to eradicate graft.
So no sacred cows?
None.
This is why there are concerns that the arrest of the Lady Justice Filomena Mwilu is part of an onslaught against the judiciary.
If this matter had come before the president's promise to revisit, I think Kenyans will have taken it differently, and perhaps more positively.
Kantori also says that the DPP may have rushed with a half-baked case to court at the behest of a greater power.
That even the DPP himself is concerned or has some concerns or reservations with regard to how this action or that action by his office might be taken by the public.
Last evening, the Orange Democratic Movement issued a statement that, in tone, indicated growing mistrust about the DPP's action. The party asked the DPP court not to open his office to manipulation, especially by state and non-state actors, especially so when the charges he brings appear openly frivolous, lacking in substance and reeking of political witch hunt.
Kila mwizi siku hizi nakuja, mwizi siku yake ni ngapi? Kwa hiyo ngoja tu. Wewe ngoja tu.
The DPP, when asked about the DCJ's arrest with regard to the revisit threat, had this to say.
The issue that you've brought about revisiting, we are an independent institution and we are not going or are not being directed by anyone or by any statements given out there.
The Federation of Women Lawyers also sent a statement promising to follow the investigations and criminal proceedings of the Deputy Chief Justice with the aim of ensuring a transparent, fair and expeditious hearing of the matter. The fact that the judiciary's budget for the 2018-2019 financial year was cut almost by half from a request of slightly more than 30 billion shillings may act as more wind in the sails of the skeptics who view the arrest of the second-in-command at the judiciary as questionable. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Deputy Chief Justice Filomena Mwilu is fighting corruption allegations that date back more than 2 years, which are threatening to permanently blot stains on her character.
However, the same institutions that now accuse her of these vices had in 2016 provided clearance letters, paving the way for her entry into the second most powerful position at the judiciary.
And while at this point claims against her are just allegations, this raises questions about the quality of work by the institutions tasked with determining the suitability of persons for public office.
As women.
In their report to the National Assembly, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee said they wrote to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, among other state agencies, to get a background check on the nominee for the Deputy Chief Justice Filomena Mwilu on the 24th of October 2016. EACC's reply to them affirmed the anti-corruption body had no outstanding issues or active investigations against Justice Mwilu, who had been fronted as Kalpana Rawal's best replacement as Deputy Chief Justice. On the floor of the House, the Vice Chair Priscilla Nyokabi is quoted as stating that the nominee has, as she put it, never been implicated in issues of lack of integrity on the case that she gave the committee, where she restituted money from clerks who were conducting corrupt practices in her court. We found she is somebody who can fight corruption in the judiciary, and the report says as much.
I listened to you. There was some sufficient struggle in terms of coming out with the flagship or the president.
During the vetting, issues touching on her integrity and character did come up.
To occupy this office, I know what it calls for. I am quite alive to the challenges that I'm putting myself up to, including this process, for instance. Not many people would like to be discussed in public.
Kandara MP Alice Wahome had claimed before Parliament's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that the judge was incompetent and corrupt. She had also placed a similar petition before the Judges and Magistrates Vetting Board. The judge dismissed the claims as a witch hunt. The committee, by majority, found the issues touching on her integrity were not weighty enough to reduce her chances. In her statement on the floor of the House, the Vice Chair of JLAC then stated that in any case, the matter of bribery which Honourable Alice Muthoni Wahome alleged on the part of the judge should be investigated by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. 3 members of the committee, Irungu Kenyatta, John Joroge and Benson Mutura's dissenting opinions on her nomination, however, were not attached to the committee's report.
How do you deal with cartels?
Who creates these cartels? These cartels would only succeed if we allow them to.
When she appeared for vetting before the JSC, Mwilu faced questions on how she would deal with corruption in the judiciary.
All judges are equal, including the presiding judge. It's just a first, he or she, it's a first among equals. But they are not equal when they are doing things wrongly. If it came to my attention that in my bench something unlawful was happening, I would immediately confront the problem.
Chief Justice David Maraga, current Attorney General Kihara Kariuki, the Catholic Mission of Kaumoni, and the Nyairo and Company advocates all wrote to the committee in support of Justice Mwilu's nomination. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has said that he wants the ongoing war on graft to be about his legacy.
The head of state said he will stop at nothing until all those accused of stealing public funds are brought to book, even if it includes his family and relatives.
He spoke to the British Broadcasting Corporation on Tuesday as part of his visit to the United States. Silas Apollo reports.
And I think we're doing precisely that.
The president was reiterating what has now become a rallying song in his second term, that perpetrators and beneficiaries of graft will have no place in his government. This time, he says, the war on corruption must be won at all cost, a dragon that he says has robbed the country of resources running into trillions of shillings and the ordinary citizen of essential services.
According to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the ongoing war on graft is a fight for a legacy, something he says he will stop at nothing to fight for, even if it means sacrificing members of his family.
Speaking to the BBC Hard Talk program, Kenyatta described corruption as a dragon that had consumed the Kenyan economy for a long time, and that it was time the dragon was slayed.
This is an animal that we intend to slay. This dragon, this beast called corruption, is an animal that we intend to slay.
Not falling short of addressing concerns on the wealth of his family and the much that they own, Kenyatta said that he is ready to commission an audit on all of his family members.
Regardless of who you are, and as I said,
so even MPs who might be taking bribes?
Even if you're my own family member, Zainab, I have said and I've made it very clear that agencies are free. What we own, what we have is open to the public. As a public servant, I am supposed to make my wealth known, and we declare every year. And I have always said, if there is an instance where somebody can say that what we have done or obtained has not been legitimate, say so. We are ready to face any court.
Part of the fight, he says, will be the prosecution of all public officials, even high-ranking ones and possibly members of parliament, as well as a mandatory lifestyle audit on all public servants and the strengthening of public institutions mandated with fighting graft.
We have been working quietly over the last few years to strengthen our various agencies that are involved in this particular fight. We have tried to go through and to assess where the weaknesses are.
On the ongoing investigations, he says the matters were before the courts and away from his control, but with the expectation that they will be determined exhaustively. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Out of a total of 549 corruption-related cases that were prosecuted from the year 2013 to this year, there have been only 54 convictions. This is according to the multi-agency task force formed to investigate and prosecute corruption cases in the country.
The agency informed the Senate Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs that most of the 74 cases that were withdrawn during the period were largely caused by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission not being properly constituted during the processing of the cases.
The multi-agency task force led by its chairperson Muthoni Kimani, accompanied by the Director of Public Prosecutions Nordin Haji, Director of Criminal Investigations George Kinoti, and other anti-graft government agencies, appeared before the committee very optimistic about slaying the corruption menace in the country. From 2013 to date, out of 549 corruption-related cases, the team has managed to secure 54 convictions and 94 acquittals. However, during that period, they withdrew 74 cases, majority of them being in 2017 and 2018, after a court ruled that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission (EACC) was not properly constituted when it was processing some of the cases. 231 cases registered during that period are still pending in court.
This affected a number of, I think, around more than 100, around 125 cases.
Kenyans sometimes are too much in demanding for money as opposed to loving their country. You'll find somebody who will come to you, you are an investigator, I have this information, but I need this money.
In the counties, they managed to secure only 14 convictions and 18 acquittals, while being forced to withdraw another 28 cases. 36 cases are still pending in court. EACC has managed to preserve and put under forfeiture proceedings several assets and cash, including both movable and immovable property, worth more than 381 million shillings. The ongoing cases at various stages of hearing in court involve approximately 61 billion shillings. At the same time, the ongoing cases involve bribery amounts that range between 6 billion shillings and 29 billion shillings. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
Distraught families and relatives today thronged the Up Home Funeral Home and the Kijabe Mission Hospital to identify the bodies of their loved ones who died last night in a road accident at Kimende along the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway.
12 people died while several others were injured when a 14-seater matatu they were traveling in collided head-on with an oncoming lorry.
Sorrow and pain engulfed family and relatives who lost loved ones in a night horror accident at Kimende along the Nakuru-Nairobi Highway. 12 people died. At the Up Home Funeral Home, friends and relatives gathered here to identify the body of their loved ones. Okech Onyango is consumed by grief after losing his sister-in-law, a nephew and a niece in the horrific crash. They were heading to Ugenya for a burial that was scheduled for the 1st of September.
Kufika saa 4 usiku tulipata ripoti kama tunapigwa simu kuna mtoto ya dada yangu msichana ambaye anaitwa Asha. Tulipigwa simu Asha amepata accident. Kuja rakaraka walipata tu ule sister yetu ambaye ako ICU saa hizi haongei, anapumua tu na oxygen. Baadaye ndio tukaelezwa kuna watoto yenyu pia wawili ambao wamefariki na msichana yenyu moja.
10 bodies were positively identified by their families. Among the dead are 3 children. The 18-seater public service vehicle that operates under the Royal Mirage Sacco was heading to Western Kenya from Nairobi when it hit an oncoming lorry. Both vehicles rolled over a cliff due to the impact of the collision. 9 died on the spot and 3 others on the way to the Kijabe Mission Hospital. The driver of the lorry escaped unhurt. 6 other people are receiving treatment at Kijabe Mission Hospital, where they were rushed by first responders responders.
Today we remain with 6 inpatients who we continue to provide care for. All of these remain in a critical condition.
Florence Atieno recalls how she got the call that broke the bad news about her brother-in-law.
He was traveling from Nairobi going to Busia. Kufika tulimpata, yes, anaongea, but he's sustaining multiple fractures. We are yet to know what next because amepelekwa theater.
The wreckage was towed to Lari police station. Kimende is one of the known black spots along that stretch of road. A number of people have lost their lives and others maimed. At this spot, traffic police have blamed the fog that causes poor visibility for a series of accidents on the highway in the last 1 month. Rozongoi, NTV.
IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has questioned the timing of the return to office of 5 commissioners who resigned 5 months ago.
Chebukati says it was suspect that their return coincided with the release of an audit report that indicts some of them in the misappropriation of funds during the 2017 elections.
We, as a commission, we have a lot of vested interests. I want to say that perhaps you can take it back to what happened when they went. When they left it, we had to come up with the issue of an internal audit and or audits of financials, the money we spend in elections, and it's more financial accounting. So if you look at the time of them coming back, coinciding with the time of the results of the audit coming out, maybe you can draw some parallels. But I haven't talked to them. I don't know why they want to come back, and we haven't had a meeting, so I don't want to really speculate on that.
What has the audit revealed so far?
The 2019 census will determine the fate of 27 constituencies that were gazetted as protected in 2012 when the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission did the exercise last.
According to data from the IEBC, some of these constituencies will have to be merged to reach the threshold, and new ones created to retain the 290 number envisaged in the Constitution.
Kennedy Muredi joins us in studio with more details.
Well, now, constituencies in the 2022 may not exist as you have known them since 2013 if the planned 2019 boundaries review is anything to go by. This is informed by Article 89, subsection 5 of the Constitution that demands that a review is done in a period not less than 8 years and not more than 12 years. Okay, this will most likely affect constituencies that until now were classified as protected by the Constitution, or that is by IEBC. These are, we have these constituencies as Mvita, Galole, Bura, River, Lamu East, Lamu West, Taita, Taita Taveta, Wundanyi, Mwatate. That is also, as we go on, we also have Mwatate, also Voi. Will also be, these are constituencies that are in the coast region, that is the former coast province. We also have, as we go to the eastern province, that is the what used to be eastern province, we also have North Hor, Saku, Laisamis, Isiolo South, Siakago, Kilome, and also we are moving from eastern, and also some of them also in central province, that is the former central province. We have Ndaragwa, Tetu, Odhaya, Mukurwaine, Kangema, and Mathioya. These are some of those constituencies in central. We also move to the Rift Valley. We also have these constituencies such as Samburu East, Marakwet East, Keyo North, and Mogotio. These are some of the constituencies, and we also moving on to the western, what used to be the western province, and we have Vihiga, that is in Vihiga County, and Budalangi, that is in Busia, County. Now, these numbers were based on the 2009 census that placed Kenya's population at 38 million. Now, when we look at these maths, now the population quota at that particular time was 133,138 people. If you multiply this by the 290 constituencies that we have and also that were prescribed in the Constitution, you will get that the constituency and all these numbers of people were 38,610,020. The Constitution in Article 89(6) envisages that the inhabitants of a constituency or ward may be greater or lesser than the population quota by a margin of not more than 40% for cities and sparsely populated areas, and also 30% for areas. Thus, the figures reached as tabulated above. That is the graphics that we are showing you. Going by this, if the 2019 census gives a figure of, let us say, 52 million Kenyans, which is what the IEBC hypothetically is working with, some of the constituencies that had been declared protected will not meet the threshold, and thus they will have to disappear. With a population of 52 million, now we are doing this maths, with a population of 52 million, divide this by 290 constituencies, you get a population quota of 180,000 people per constituency. Now, come in and apply the 40% variation that is required, that is in Article 89(5). The variation for a city where Nairobi is the only gazetted city, you get a population of 72,000 people, that is to make a city constituency. Now, for these others, you will have to apply 30% variation. These are other places that are densely populated and also that are not cities. That is including Mombasa and Kisumu, because according to the Constitution or according to gazettement, they are not cities. Now, and you will reach a figure of about 54,000 people to make a constituency, that is a densely populated constituency. If you use the hypothetical scenario, constituencies such as, these are constituencies such as Lamu East, Saku, and Isiolo South will have to be merged and pave way for new constituencies to maintain the 290 constituencies prescribed in the Constitution. Now, Dennis, going by what you have seen there, going by what you've seen and what we have been able to tabulate, what do you think? Is any of your constituencies, has it been mentioned? And probably if it has been mentioned, probably as we go into the 2019 census, there's a probability that you'll be moved and your constituency will be merged with another one and you'll be given a new name.
Thank you so much, Moredi. It's actually something we're debating with Olive here, and my constituency is not really affected back from the village. What about yours?
No, it isn't, but I do have a question for you, Kennedy. What does protected mean?
Okay, that is very good. That is a very good question, and I know so many Kenyans will be asking about it. Protected means that when they were doing the boundaries delimitation in 2012, there are those constituencies that did not meet the threshold, but they had to be protected according to the census that they had at that particular time. That is the 38 million. And according to that population quota at that particular time, which was 133, 138, that base, they were not able to reach that required number. And so the IEBC had to come in with the help of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and make sure that with them, they have to give them a certain period for them to get the required number, so that as they moved into the 2022, as I have said, there is a period which must not be less than 8 years and which should not be more than 12 years. Then they are given a period for them to get to the required number that is as prescribed within that period. So if we move into the 2022 elections or in the 2019 census, and some of these constituencies will not have reached the numbers as per the population quota of that particular time, then they will have to go, or they will either be merged so that we have a new set of constituencies, but they must remain at 290 constituencies, as that is what is prescribed in the Constitution, that is Article 89.
Moredi, just before we let you loose, sorry to ask you this one quick last question. The way we understand politicians, I mean, this is not just about drawing a line in terms of a boundary. It involves people. And I'm looking at the census, and I'm looking at the different areas, and you're talking about population of those different areas. Wouldn't this then create a political storm?
Well, today morning we had the opportunity of having IEBC chairman, that is Wafula Chebukati, and that question was posed. And what he said at that particular time is that that exercise about census is not about them at all. census is about the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Once they get that data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that is when they will come in and actually do this delimitation and cluster people according to the statisticians that they have at the commission. So it is not about them and politicians. Politicians will have to deal with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Dennis.
Okay, thank you very much, Kennedy. We take a short break now, but when we come back, we tell you why Kenya women parliamentarians were donning white headscarves.
There was drama in Parliament today when members of the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, KEWOPA, attended proceedings wearing white headscarves.
The move was intended to gather support and push for the passing of the two-thirds gender bill, awaiting debate on the floor of the House.
The Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, KEWOPA, this morning met with the leadership of the National Assembly to lobby for the passing of a two-thirds gender principle in both the National Assembly and the Senate. The bill has flopped on the floor of the House 4 times in its different form, but it's coming up for debate later this year.
This is not a women's issue. This is a human rights issue. It's a right to equality. It is in the Bill of Rights in our Constitution.
The Constitution, you cannot read part of it the way you want and leave the other part and tell me, yes, we are implementing the Constitution. You cannot just take some and leave the other. So we are violating the Constitution, period, as a country.
This energy was translated on the floor of the House this afternoon when KEWOPA members showed up adorning white headscarves.
Mr. Speaker, what I have seen this afternoon is something I have never seen. And I want to confirm, Mr. Speaker, you to tell us whether it's within the standing orders in terms of the dress.
I hope it is some way of dressing that will continue. They look very smart.
We are coming here, Mr. Speaker, to put a message across that we have had a new constitution since 2010, a constitution that had specific timelines for certain legislative proposals to be passed by this very House, and the legislative's proposal to enable the implementation of not more than 2/3 gender rule is now 8 years, Mr. Speaker, and it has not been passed. We will be wearing these white headscarves until we pass this law.
The procedures and rules. You don't need to intimidate us through a new attire that you are not explaining to us.
Can you all men tomorrow morning, come here with their kofias? Every man here, come with your kofias. And then the ladies come with their towels. So they can be in uniform. It is fair for them to know that you require not less than 233 of yourselves being present to pass what you think you may be agitating through the headgear. The headgear alone will not help.
And just when the business of the House was coming to order, the Kikuyu Member of Parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, walked in, adorning a headgear.
Okay. So, in solidarity to what was happening in Parliament, did you carry yours?
I thought I had it, but it looks like I forgot it.
You sure?
Yes. Hopefully I find it before the end of the bulletin. Nairobi County officials demolished business structures in Embakasi and Karen. A hotel opposite Airgate Mall, formerly known as Taj Mall, and Kwandege Shopping Center in Karen have been demolished, with traders left stranded.
The county government officers started the demolishing exercise at Embakasi before heading to Karen at 2 in the afternoon. Traders have decried the move by the county government, saying they were never given notice before the demolition.
The traders say that the structures were demolished because they are not allowed to conduct business in the premises.
Some of the traders, together with the owner of the land, say that they were granted authority to convert the place to a commercial center by the same county government that is demolishing the structures now.
The traders, who have been trading for more than 3 years in the shopping center, say that they have lost millions of shillings and do not know what to do next.
Embakasi Hotel has been demolished because it is along the North Airport Road.
Wanatuambia ati tunatakiwa kuwa ati we don't have the authority to do commercial business here. And when we started, it was the same city council that licensed us, using the change of user license which the landlord of this place gave to us to show us that he has authority to change of user this place into a commercial establishment. So we are very disappointed, we are very shocked, we're actually traumatized by this whole thing.
25-year-old Joanne Lebene from Marigat, Baringo Sub-County, has been on a long and torturous path in her search for justice against a man she says stabbed her when she rejected his marriage proposal.
Joanne says her suitor, who attacked her and left her disabled, is still at large, even though she reported the matter to police.
A frail Joanne sits outside with her family, wishing for relief from her pain. A case of love gone sour left her wounded and hanging on to her fleeting life. She says her physical and emotional scars were inflicted on her by her male friend after she rejected his marriage proposal.
Huyo kijana alikuja kunidunga kisu, akitaka kunioa. Sasa nikakataa. Ndio akasema wacha anidunge kisu. Ndio sasa
his actions left her disabled and in desperate need of medical attention.
Sasa nikapata injuries ya rib na spinal cord, ndio sasa iliniathiri zaidi. Hapo sijapata usaidizi lolote. Nilienda hospitali mingi, lakini bado sijapata nafuu.
She now has to rely on her mother and brother to carry her to and from the house every day since she lost her ability to walk. Her treatment has strained them financially as they have had to sell the family land and their livestock. They've now moved to a rental house which her mother pays for of her paltry wages.
Sai anabeba yeye kama mtoto mdogo. Na hata mimi ameumia sana. Mimi nachoka sana kubeba yeye na kuosha hiyo kanonda. Mimi naosha tu kama daktari kwa nyumbani.
Joanne says the police are yet to arrest the perpetrator, even though she's reported it at the Marigat police station.
Hii kesi yangu tuliweza kuripoti hata kwa polisi. Sasa wao hawajafanya lolote. Walikuwa wanatuambia tu sisi tungangane tu tushike kijana peke yetu. Sasa tuwezani kushika kijana maana hata familia yao walikuwa wanaficha.
Speaking on phone, Baringo South OCPD Munuve said she was new at the station and was not privy to the details of the case. She, however, says the case file was still open. Helen Aura, NTV.
NTV Tonight takes a short break.
But when we come back, parliamentarians have suspended the VAT on petroleum products.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Kenyans can now breathe easy because the proposed 16% value-added tax on petroleum products will not be taking effect as planned. This is because Parliament voted to delay by 2 years the introduction of the tax, thereby saving households and businesses the inevitable rise in the cost of living. Matatu operators had already announced an increase in commuter charges as the added cost of fuel would be passed on to passengers. The amendment to the finance bill tabled by Minority Whip Junet Mohammed means that the levy will take effect on the September 1st of 2020.
Parliament has been accused many times of not being sensitive to the needs of the people. And this is one time that we must raise to the occasion and make sure that we side with the people this time.
The cost of living was unbearable. So there's no way, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, we can allow this to happen, because once you put VAT on petroleum products, the fuel is going to go up, the matatu business, people will not afford it, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to construction, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to agriculture, overall, the cost of living will be high.
Even as we postpone this tax for a further 2 years, this House must decide to either do away with this VAT on petroleum products or not. Because we are not going to continue postponing it indefinitely. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to urge this House to to postpone this tax further for 2 years as we decide what to do with it. Mr. Chairman, before I sit, I just want this House to note that the prices of commodities is likely to rise by not less than 10%.
And I hope as you listen to that, you're not distracted by the white headgear that was in the background. Now, for the last 2 days, the National Oil Corporation and Gulf Energy have reported contamination of fuel at their depots, affecting the operations of the companies. Sources within the two marketers say storage at the Kenya Pipeline Company was somehow compromised, causing the oil to be contaminated with water. The problem has, however, been resolved, and KPC is investigating the source of the water contamination and exactly how much oil was affected. The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has achieved the last point of departure status, meaning that it can now facilitate direct flights between Kenya and the United States of America. As a national carrier, Kenya Airways will be flying between the two countries with a first flight scheduled for the 28th of October. Meanwhile, the KQ has posted a 28.8% reduction in net loss for the first half of 2018. Alex Mwangi reports.
It has been a tough 4 years for the Pride of Africa, whose financials have continually been in the red. For the first half of 2018, the airline says it has reduced its losses by nearly 29% to post 4 billion shillings, compared to the 5.6 billion shilling loss posted in a similar period last year.
We definitely plan within the next, I would say, 2 months to start selling tickets for new routes that we're going to operate next year. I think that it's going to be at least 3 more destinations. We're currently looking at Europe, we're looking at Middle East, we're looking at Asia as well.
The board has now approved the use of fuel hedging as a cost containment measure, despite its attendant risks. Fuel costs for the 6-month period went up by 16% compared to last year. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, projects that fuel prices will reach $84 per barrel by the end of the year. That will be a 25.9% increase compared to the price in 2017.
This is why the board has approved a refreshed and a little reorganized hedging policy, and as an airline we will start hedging soon and building our hedging position to protect our cash flow and to protect us against what seems to be not only an African problem but an industry worldwide problem.
Plans to have the inaugural flight from Nairobi to New York are in high gear. The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has now achieved the last point of departure status, which allows it to facilitate flights between the two destinations. The first flight is scheduled to depart on the 28th of October. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Athi River Mining will remain absent from the Nairobi Securities Exchange for another 21 days after the Capital Markets Authority extended its suspension. The cement manufacturer was suspended a few days ago after it went into administration under the Insolvency Act of 2015 in a move aimed at keeping away creditors from attaching ARM's property as they seek to recover a 14.4 billion shilling debt. The Board of Directors of the Kenya National Highways Authority, KENHA, has renewed the term of the Director General, Engineer Peter Mundinia. The board made the decision in consultation with the Ministry of Transport. Mundinia has been reappointed for a second 3-year term effective August 2018. He was appointed for his first term in August 2015. Farmers from Karurumo area in Kangema sub-county in the county of Murang'a have threatened to sell their tea to private tea processors if the Kenya Tea Development Agency will not increase their annual bonus and monthly payments to 80 shillings per kilo from the 48 shillings paid last year. The farmers sell their tea to Kanyenyainde Factory, a subsidiary of KTDA, and they say they will not accept the company's announcement that their pay this year will be lower.
Tunasema na tunasihi KTDA, kama iko na masikio na kama inajali mkulima, ijue mkulima ako kwa hatari na mkulima ako karibu kujinyonga, kwa sababu kimpatia shilingi 2 aweze akanunua kitu. Ile chai tulishuna June, July, tutalipo mwaka ujao mwezi wa 11. Mkulima atakuwa akikula nini? Mkulima atakuwa akikula nini? Na hao hao wadosi pesa zao wanalipwa kila mwezi ziko kwa mfuko.
Business myself are both done. Have yourself a good night.
Welcome back. The planned destruction of contraband goods worth 233 million shillings has been postponed until Friday this week. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was expected to witness the destruction, was a no-show. According to communication from State House, the president, who just arrived from the US, could not make it for the event and was apologetic. Among the goods confiscated by the multi-agency team handling illicit trade include foodstuff, electronics, building material and vehicles. From May this year, the multi-agency team headed by Deputy Head of Public Service Wanyama Musiambo has been engaged on a vigorous nationwide crackdown on illicit goods. It is part of the Kenya Revenue Authority's campaign against tax evasion and smuggling and to protect the public from consuming substandard goods. On Monday last week, the government received financial support worth $150 million to support the digitization of operations and services at the Anti-Counterfeit Agency to stem the entry of counterfeit goods into the country. The Employment and Labour Relations Court has stopped Murang'a Governor Mwangi Wairire from taking over the management of the Murang'a Water and Sewerage Company, MUWASCO. Justice Briam Ongaya also restrained the governor from replacing Peter Munga as the board's chair and temporarily revoked Joseph Kimaru's appointment to the position. The orders were issued on Wednesday after Munga sued the governor for what he called an attempt to end his control of the firm. Justice Ongaya directed the Murang'a Division OCPD to enforce the order by ensuring the businessman continues to serve as chairman with no interference. The court order comes a day after the governor shut down the company's offices and ordered the staff to move to the new Mudge House offices located at the county headquarters. Workers who had reported for duty found the gates locked and reinforced with steel. NTV Tonight takes another short break.
Welcome to NTV Sport. I'm Watson Karuma. Now, Kenyan champions Gor Mahia have been knocked out of the CAF Confederation Cup after a 2-1 loss away to USM Alger in Algeria. Kogalo's fate was sealed after results in the other Group D match went against them. Rayon beat Yanga 1-0 for the Rwandan team to join the USM in the knockout stage.
Kenyan champions Gor Mahia took to the pitch in humid Algiers
game on Thursday to advance from the group stages of the Women's Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. The Junior Malkia Strikers lost 3-1 to a Plaki Nigeria side in a match watched by Sean Cardovillis at the Kasarani Stadium.
The Junior Malkia Strikers had won their opening group match against Tanzania in straight sets and were expected to easily sail past Nigeria in their second Pool A match of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations Championship at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. But Paul Gital's charges were stunned by the West Africans. Kenya started brightly, winning the opening set at 25-19. But the Nigerians silenced the home crowd, hitting back to win 3 sets in a row. Nigeria took the second set 26-24, the third set 25-18, and the fourth 25-23 to claim the surprise win.
It's indeed a very tough game. Well, we were able to get our acts together. The problem was the girls were rushing, and we were able to calm the speed of the game down, and we took the day.
It was not my expectation to lose that game. But because I have lost that game, it means I have to correct the mistakes my team is doing for us.
The result means that Kenya must win against Cameroon in the final group game on Thursday at 4 p.m. to have any chance of advancing.
I don't want to be in this interview to blame anybody. I don't want to blame my girls. I don't want to blame anything. I'm saying again, I'm taking this blame as a coach. Because the mistakes that my girls did, I was not expecting, but they are doing them. You cannot kill them, you cannot do anything, but you have to plan for the next game.
In the early match on Wednesday, Rwanda thrashed Uganda 3 sets to 0, 25-17, 25-8, 25-16. In the other matches on Thursday, Nigeria faced Tanzania at midday, Uganda take on Mauritius at 2 p.m. and Congo play Rwanda at 6 p.m.
So a very disappointing result for Kenya. You could see it in the crowd, and that means that their last game against Cameroon is a must-win game. Sean Cardovillis, NTV at the Kasarani Gymnasium.
Well, we're wishing the girls all the best in their match tomorrow to the Kenyan Premier League, where Wazito stand FC Leopards and Thika United and Chemelil Sugar lost as the relegation dogfight escalated in Wednesday's KPL action. Chemelil lost 2-0 to Tusker at Ruaraka, with Justin Omari and Jackson Macharia scoring in each half. The loss means the Sugar Millers stay third from bottom on 28 points from 28 games. Meanwhile, Thika United's slide continue as they lost for the 6th time in a row, falling 3-0 to Kariobangi Sharks. They remain bottom on 20 points from 28 matches. Second from bottom was Wazito stand FC Leopards 2-1 to move to 27 points from 29 matches. In other matches, Sofapaka pipped Posta Rangers 1-0 and Ulinzi saw off Nakumat 2-0.
Kila kocha angefurahia uka pale chini, lakini nasema matarajio yangu ni kubakisha timu katika ligi msimu ujao. Ndio naona tunajaribu kila tuwezavyo. Vijana ni wadogo, tunajaribu kuwasukuma ili tuweze tupata kama pointi karibu 6 hivi ama 7 tuweze kubakia katika ligi kuu ya taifa.
Now, action resumes on Saturday when 3 matches will be in the fixtures. Now, South Korea beat Vietnam 3-1 in the Asian Games semi-finals thanks to Lee Seung-woo's double. And if they retain the title, it will have significant ramifications for striker Son Heung-min's professional career. Son, who plays for Premier League club Tottenham Hotspur, provided the assist for the second goal before being subbed in the 72nd minute. He would be exempt. Frenchman Rudy Mola surprisingly moved into the race leader's red jersey. Clark's only previous Grand Tour stage win was at the 2012 Vuelta. Mola
Well, that's all we had for you tonight. My name is Dennis Okari.
And I'm Burrows, and our sign language interpreter has been David Agondoa. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Good night.